Welcome to Dangerously Calm. I'm really excited to chat with my guest today, Chandler Brooks. I've known Chandler for a few years now, and he's just an amazing human being all around, has an exceptional, amazing human. Amazing background. We're going to talk about, in construction tech, and just some of his experiences personally, professionally, and his growth and development, and how mental fitness and other things have helped him. And talk about some of the things that he's seen in the industry, especially the construction industry, with trends around AI, the good, the bad, the ugly around that. And we want you as a listener to be able to take away some of the things that you can apply, but mostly just get to learn more about his background, amazing things he's doing to grow and develop as a person, and successes and failures and all the bumps along the way. And so really looking forward to chatting with you and just diving in. And so first thing I always like to do is just kind of give you a few minutes to tell the listeners out there a little bit about background, where you came from, and then we'll talk about kind of your career coming into the industry and get up to kind of where you're at now. And then at the end of this, we're going to really dive into an article, a fascinating article that talks about, would you say, the dangers of AI if it's integrated wrong into industries, and how leaders might be sabotaging themselves and the companies with it. So, but enough about my little rambling. Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself, Chandler.
Awesome. Well, Dr. Seth, thank you. It's my pleasure to be here, and I'm honored that you even asked me to join you on this podcast. I've watched all the episodes. I think they're great. Lots of good nuggets have come out of it, so hopefully I get to add to that.
Absolutely.
And here we go. So an interesting thing about my background that I'll just share, when a lot of people ask, how did you get in construction? It usually starts in college or somewhere around high school. I grew up in a very do-it-yourself family. My dad and my mom decided to buy a 1917 historic home at the time. And so there's always a remodel going on.
Mm-hmm.
Plenty of material in the back for me to just hammer and build things. And I think even when I was around 10 or 12, I built a go-kart that fell apart that I could pull my brother around in.
Okay.
Just really into building.
So you were always kind of a tinkerer and a builder,
it's just something
and hands-on guy.
Yeah, I don't know if it was because I was interested or because I just kind of had to help my dad all the time.
Yeah, probably both.
But one of the things I remember distinctly in elementary school, teachers ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I say, baseball. Usually you hear a baseball player,
Me too.
a football player, but I think baseball was pretty much for guys, for boys,
Yep.
baseball. I want to be a carpenter is what I said.
Really?
Yeah, I said that.
I didn't even know what a carpenter was until I was like 30.
I did. Maybe I didn't either. I don't know. But that name
just sounded good.
It came out. I don't know. So I fast forward to 14, 15, 16, somewhere in there. I'm talking to a person at my church. Chandler, where you want to go to college? Because at the time, and even today, I think, that's what you do after high school. You go to college, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to do? I said, something to do with building is what I said. And I remember this conversation so vividly. She goes, then you want to go into architecture. It wasn't a guidance counselor, just somebody asking the teenage boy, what does he want to do? And that stuck in my head. So that's what I went to school for. I chose something a little closer to home, though, meaning I liked historic buildings. I knew that. I did like building. Okay, architecture's the focus. So historic architecture at Savannah College of Art and Design. And
SCAD, great school.
Yeah, if you've been in Savannah, that's the playground for someone who's doing that kind of role.
For sure.
Fast forward to 2008 when I graduate. Oops, no jobs, recession.
Oh, great year for college graduates, yeah.
The housing market is what kind of caused it, right?
Yeah.
So construction, anything related to architecture, there's nothing going on but firing. And so I went from 6 to 8 months of graduating with not job offers, but really solid prospects to zero.
Just zip.
And I was going on interviews for practice. I had to do something. I had all this energy and ambition and just drive. I had to put it somewhere.
Right.
I did that for about as long as I could, and then finally made peace with the fact that I'm not going to find a job in my field. I'm going to just have to get whatever work I can to make money. Yep. So I was doing web and graphic design. It was a fortunate circumstance that my minor was electronic design. So we studied web, graphic, building information modeling, so 3D models.
Right.
And when I did finally get a job in Dallas, Texas in 2009, that's what I got it for. It wasn't my degree. It was, hey, you can build 3D models and architecture? Yeah, cool. All right.
Perfect.
I can do it. So I'm in that. Realize I don't like that lifestyle. I don't know, sitting behind a desk, cranking away, building models all day. So I thought, I want to try to actually do construction. An opportunity.
Yeah, because it's not really working with your hands per se, right? I mean, it's the
I don't know,
kind of engineering, architectural stuff, but it's just not scratching that. You don't never strike me as a sit behind the desk kind of guy.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I could do it. That was the thing. I was good at it. I could absolutely pump out models and create prototypes, and I did like technology. So that was another affinity I had. Building and technology, the two kind of made sense to me. Anyway, moved to a construction company and completely different.
Is this, what year is this?
Oh, this is 10, 11. 10 or 11.
Gotcha.
Around that time frame. Can't remember exactly. So I'd done architecture. I worked at a few firms, moved into this construction company, and initially they had me again behind a desk. Hey, you're going to do estimating.
That's where they put the big brains, behind the desk.
And then one of the jobs I was estimating, I said, hey, can I go out on this project? Can I work on this project? I didn't know what I was asking for. They threw me out on that, and it was a massive learning curve, because there's actually degrees for construction management. I didn't know that.
Right.
Had that person back in church said, you want to do something in building? Get a construction management degree.
Yeah.
No, go to architecture. Yeah. But you know what? I'm glad it went the way it did.
Yeah.
Got into construction, and it was some of the highest stress I've ever experienced. Some of the most fish out of water moments I've ever had. Mm-hmm. Having any sense of building or architecture really didn't prepare me at all for what life on a job site would be like.
Right.
And
it's a whole different playground.
Yeah. Hit my stride, I'd say, after 2 or 3 years, was on a few different job sites, thought, you know what? I want to know more about the business side. So I went back for my MBA at University of Texas. It was a professionals program, so I worked through it. After 2 years, graduated. And it wasn't shortly after that I thought, okay, actually, I think I want to do something different. One of the things construction taught me was some of the best people I've ever met work in it. Mm-hmm. Some of the most amazing things can be done by humans ever seen before.
It's fascinating.
We live in it.
Yeah.
We experience it. It was just an industry I knew, I'm staying in this industry. Don't know if this role is for me, project management. I can do it. I'm definitely on the path. It's not where my passions were. It's technology related. Something about enabling humans to do more of what they really want to do and less of administrative paperwork, which moved me into the current company I'm at, and I've been there for 10 years, which is a construction technology company. So construction technology came together in the form of this wonderful company that's been around for, 24 years now. And we've gone through COVID. We've gone through what tech life is like, all the way to now this unprecedented time of AI.
Right.
AI in tech, AI in our world, and AI in construction. They're all at different levels of fast and faster. But it's both exciting and scary at the same time.
Right. And that's what we'll talk about here, and that evolution and that journey, and it's fascinating. That's why you were one of the first people I was thinking of as I was thinking about guests, because you just had as we work in construction, that's one of our markets, especially safety, and trying to bring mental fitness and stuff. And I'm sure we'll talk about that and the importance of it in, an industry that, is, it's not going anywhere, right? No. People are still going to need to build buildings and be out there on job sites. And I'm starting to see this intersection of trying to help the construction industry learn how to, from a human behavior thing, just slow down a little bit to mitigate incidents and accidents. But then there's these technologies and tools that are designed to, make things easier, but can actually have some negative blowback with the fear or the worry that it's just creating in the industry. And so there's just this fascinating kind of, I'll say, I don't know if intersection is the right word, but there's a lot of this stuff happening in construction, especially with technology, with AI, that can be beneficial, but also scary and negative in a lot of ways. And so I want to talk about coming back to you and your experience with, when we met along that path, and a big part of what we're doing, at My Steady Mind, is really trying to mitigate incidents and accidents, by improving, people's awareness, especially out in stressful, dangerous environments, and then as a veteran, I don't come from the construction industry. I've been working in it for about 3 years now, but a job site, I'm a veteran, and a job site is probably the closest to battlefield operations.
You're spot on.
You know what I mean? That I've ever seen, with just the risk, the volatility, the moving parts, communication can cost lives, or lack of communication.
True.
And so it's been awesome to get to bring it in. But yeah, let's start kind of talking about when you and I met, and how all that stuff you've been doing. I know it's exhausting at times. Your dad got kid, all that stuff, right? But yeah, let's just talk about when we met and kind of what mental fitness training did for you and your team when we came in and helped, and how you've seen it, help you, and just talk about that. And I know you have a couple examples of, stories you might want to talk about where,
so this is 2023, was at a convention, again, a vivid memory of this. We had just launched our mental health awareness campaign, because we were getting some pretty concerning data points from construction around death by suicide as compared to just death by accidents.
Sure.
And it actually outpaces just regular hazards of a job site, any job site.
Which is crazy.
Mental illness causing some of the highest rates of death was just incredible. So we partnered with an organization called the B1M. Its founder had his struggles with mental illness. He shared those on stage at one of our conferences as a sort of testament to, I suffered in silence. I don't think that's right.
Right.
And he loved construction just like so many of us. And he said, I need to bring a light on this. So we were launching this awareness campaign called Get Construction Talking. I was talking to one of my good friends that I work with out in the industry, Rob McKinney. We were at a convention, AGC of Georgia's annual convention.
Right.
And I mentioned what we were doing. I said, I think you would love this. And he goes, have you heard of My Steady Mind? No, but I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, this guy, Dr. Seth Hickerson, started it. He sent me the website, started looking at it. And I said, yeah, this is great. He goes, aren't you in Florida part of the time? I said, yeah. And he goes, where? And I said, Melbourne, if you know where that is. He goes,
Yeah.
Well, that's where he lives. I said, well, shoot.
What are the odds? I know.
This is meant
Thank
to
you,
be.
universe.
Yeah, right. So I got in touch with you. You were immediately responsive. We had a coffee at Apocalypse.
Right across the street.
Love that.
Maybe we'll get them to sponsor us one of these days.
Nice.
I need to hide this Starbucks.
Let
me move this out of the way.
So normally I'll side note on coffee for a minute. One of my so I spend half my time, my wife and I do, in Austin, and the other half here. And cold brew coffee, baristas, stuff like that. That's a huge thing in Austin.
Oh, yeah,
obviously.
It's a thing. It's a culture there,
When I first met Jackie, is my wife, she's from here. There wasn't a lot of that stuff around here, And I'd really say until the Space Center kind of got a resurgence, back in 15, 16, 17, around there, a lot of that stuff didn't come around. So I'm so thrilled I see places like Apocalypse or Villains or, some of these other neat little boutique coffee shops. So off on the coffee for a minute, back to My Steady Mind training. Long story short, I brought the program idea into my company. They said, yeah, we'd absolutely support as a type of professional development for your team.
Right.
Ran my team through the 9-week course. Reason I thought it was important at the time, honestly, this really has been my entire reality, and I think the reality of technology, is that change is a natural part of companies that have to innovate as fast and as quickly as these companies do. Very similar to construction. You just got to think on your feet at all times, but you get to do it behind a desk versus being kind of out in the field. So there's a lot less safety risk. But this still is at risk.
Sure.
And so one of the thoughts I had was, if I'm going to tell my team to, hey, get used to change, this is just the way it is, I better have some way of helping myself and them navigate it.
Right.
That's more than just, sending them a self-help book.
Because
I'd read them all. I loved the things I read, but it didn't. What did it do for me?
Well, that's a big part of what we talk about, and what a lot of people are doing out there is you can't just tell people, hey, be ready for change. Right. Just like I can't say, hey, just be fit.
Can't speak
and
into existence.
that's where and I want to get back onto it. But it was really, again, I want to give kudos to you, because you were really one of the first people in coming in and doing that training that brought us into the construction industry. Again, I knew nothing about the construction industry. It wasn't an industry I was interested in. I came from, professional sports and military
Sure.
and defense, and that was, shout out to Rob McKinney again, the guy that had reached out to me and said, I think this training could really help, especially from a safety perspective. And the first thing I told him was, well, you need to introduce me to people that are forward-thinking, innovative, because I'm not just going to go around and hand out business cards, right?
Sure.
And he had mentioned you and what you were doing, and it was a perfect fit, and that's what I've done is just continue to learn. And I remember going to one of those conferences, and that's what I've seen a lot of over the last couple of years, not just in construction, but in all industries, law enforcement, healthcare is, especially post-COVID, is there's a lot of people talking about mental health.
Yes.
But really what they're talking about is mental illness.
True.
And they kind of made Mental Health Awareness Month when we're filming this, and you're going to see people up on stages, and their intention is good, but all they're doing is really glamorizing the problem.
Exactly
And there's
right.
no solution. The show's over, the conference is over, and it's like, now I feel, shit, am I suicidal? What the hell? That was the worst. All they talked about was how many people are killing. And so, that's where I come in as a, mental performance that's about training, not talking or streaming or consuming, and that's just something that's never been available. But it took me meeting forward-thinking, innovative people to say, you know what? I'll try it. Let me try it with me and my team.
Yeah.
And so again, kudos to you, because that's, and then gives me some credibility when I can say, hey, I work with this kind of guy and this kind of company, and they're like, oh wow, well, maybe we'll try it. And so you played a big role in helping us and me get into this construction industry, and we've helped a lot of people. So just kudos to you for being open and bringing me in.
It's my pleasure, and it was very easy to see the benefit just from reading your website, seeing what was available. And, also I'll give testament to my company because years before we got to meeting, I'd been through executive coaching, leadership training, culture, operationalization, I had a good foundation to see that the next thing to do, the next opportunity was really about the self, the person that could navigate this change. Yes, organizational health is very important, and that can't be one or the other. But each individual has to be able to tackle the day on their own.
Right.
And at the time, we were a distributed workforce, very distributed. Post COVID, most companies like mine, hybrid or fully remote.
Fully remote.
And I had 2 people on my team that were international.
Yeah.
So, I saw them once a year,
physically
once a year, maybe.
Right.
This was also thinking about them. How do they, with a manager that's, almost a 12-hour time difference away. My evening is their morning, or their morning is my. It was just
right.
I needed something to do other than just you just keep on going.
And that's where again we'll talk. It's because there's so much, and that's why I'm excited about this conversation. Just coming back to just a human brain, right? And the biggest problem in mental health that we have in our country is just simply the fact that our human brains have not evolved remotely at the rate society and technology has. We're seeing these advances in technology and expectations and productivity and performance, and we're still operating on some pretty antiquated software.
Yes.
And it's like you can't just say, okay, well now everybody's remote and you got to work over here and you got to do that and you got to do this virtual. There's humans are meant to be connected and in person, and so it's just this recipe that's just making mental health go from bad to really bad.
Yeah.
But then we're also just expecting, and this is where it comes down to especially people like you and a lot of leaders that get put in that position, is this expectation of, well, I should be able to just manage everything and be a good dad and show up, and why do I feel like shit? Why am I burnt out? Why am I, and so it's just this understanding a brain is a brain is a brain, right? And the organizations and the people that understand, we need to slow down a little bit.
Yes.
And bring, to your point, that's the thing, is there's a lot of books you can read out there and podcasts you can listen to.
Yep.
Just listening to this podcast is not going to fix your problems. It takes action and time. That's why our training isn't just a 1 hour, I'm not just going to come in and I'll talk to you for an hour, but that's not going to rewire your brain.
No.
And so you understood that, okay, I need something personally.
Yeah.
Right. And then for my team.
Yeah.
And so.
And selfishly, I saw the industry as well as boy, they need this.
They need it.
Boy, you cannot come at them direct. You gotta come at them sideways. So I can't talk about it unless I go through it. I can't enforce my team to just roll with the punches unless I give them some tools. And so, marriage of these two things worked out beautifully. 6 or 7 months after the program, I still had conversations with the team. Part of our vernacular changed. We're talking about BAMO.
BAMO, that's right. Breathe and move on.
We were, lengthening our fuse. We were observing, not absorbing. We were, just giving ourselves
creating
the space.
That gap, that space.
Yes, that space between feeling, thinking, and then acting, and then that emotion was just run away at that point. And the other one was that I really liked. I kept it going for quite a while. Was the embrace the suck. I think intentionally starting your day with something kind of uncomfortable, like a cold shower.
Right. Tennis ball, not the egg.
Yeah,
right?
there you go. Exactly. Yeah. There's no egg here. We don't want no eggs.
No eggs in this office.
No eggs in this office.
So these, for people that don't know what Chandler's talking, these are what we call in our training stars. Something they always remember, right? And that's what makes, again, what separates kind of our mental fitness training at My Steady Mind from a lot of the other just kind of training out there. Is most of this training out there that you put a lot of people through, it's just vague and ambiguous, and it's just more information, and you get done with it and you're like, nothing sticks, right? So that's, if you said a key word, right, and what we are wanting to do is help change and improve the culture, and that's where My Steady Mind, you change culture by creating a shared language.
Yes.
And so all of our training modules have stars, something they always remember. So one sticky little nugget like BAMO, breathe and move on. I got it tattooed right there for a reason. It's a breath technique.
Yeah. And
I would guarantee everybody that went through our training 3 or 4 years ago still knows BAMO.
For sure.
Still uses it, and that little breath technique might have been the thing that saved them from falling off the rails personally or professionally.
It's true.
Embrace the suck, time traveling. STIA. So these are all things that I love hearing you talk about, but for people that may not know, like, what is he mentioning? These are techniques that we teach that make it sticky and fun and funny so that your people will actually do it.
Yeah. Yeah, the fact that I still heard about it from the team organically, not by asking, was an encouraging, hey, some of this stuck.
Right.
Personally, I had a very regimented ECR.
Emotional control routine.
Yeah, so my ECR every morning was I would read the gospel. Bishop Barron is one of my all-time. I just an amazing spiritual leader, and he puts out gospel readings. Obviously, reading the gospel, but then his interpretation, or it's like a sermon sort of. Start my day that way. First thing I read before.
So let's start, because I like diving into what people do kind of from a daily. Because everybody's always like, how do I? And I share like how I do my ECR, and so I'll just kind of do that quickly, then talk about yours. So ECR is emotional control routine. So that's the 3 little mental exercises we do in the morning that gets us kind of steady and ready for the day, as opposed to what most people do, which is just get up and go, right? You just, get up, grab my phone, I'm just dealing with the shit, and I'm stressed, and the kids are pissing me off, and traffic sucks, and weather sucks, and my schedule sucks, and like that's the energy and the volatility that people are bringing into job sites from top to bottom.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Right? And so that's a big part of what we're trying to say is we can't control what's going on in the household or with their finances, but we can teach them some tools to create this little pause in the morning. It doesn't have to be right when you wake up, but you're just trying to create this little pause where you can, and it's hard. People feel guilty for slowing down, right?
True.
Especially leaders. And it's like, no, I just need to find a minute, 5 minutes between waking up and stepping on the job site where I can just do my emotional control routine, So I do mine after I get my kids up. I do dad stuff, and it's chaos from 6 to 7:30, getting 3 kids up and ready for school,
It is.
And then I drop them off at school, and then I don't just go from the chaos of the morning to the chaos of the workday. I pause after I drop them off at school. I sit in my minivan. That's my dojo. That's where I do all my mental training, And I pray. I do a 5-minute guided meditation, and then I do 3 things I'm grateful for. And it's like I'm putting on this emotional super cape. I'm getting myself kind of steady. Now I fire up and start the day.
Love it.
Right? And now, I'm ready for whatever the day throws. And then I can do an IER, instant energy renewal, BAMO. Those are the things you do throughout the day. So it's keeping you steady, because we know we can't control all the chaos. No. But, yeah, so tell me yours. You wake up, like kind of what's a day look like? And we miss it, just like physical fitness. There's mornings I don't do it, and I forget. But, yeah, talk me through your daily.
So, our phones are like most of us, probably right by our bedside.
Yep.
First thing I do is obviously turn my alarm off, and then I'm just reading it.
So you
Right
as
away.
the alarm goes off, you got an app like a notification?
Yeah,
or
I
just-
have an email that comes through. It's a daily gospel reading.
Okay.
So I read it.
You go right into it.
I go right into it before I get out of bed. I get out of bed. If it's a workout day, you know, I'm preparing for that. If it's a not going to workout day, you know, I have my own, you know, depending on what I'm going to wear, basically.
Yeah.
So then the next thing I'm doing is I'm downstairs at this point. Either the dog wants to go out or doesn't, you know, depending on, I don't have any children, so it's just the dog. You know, is he awake right now?
Yeah.
So I just kind of tune myself to that. But while that's happening, I'll move into, I have an app, Hallow.
Oh, yeah.
And there's daily meditations on that, but through prayer, through probably an Acts reading or a gospel reading or whatever, but it's guided.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not thinking in this
Right.
moment. I've read the gospel, but now I'm moving into someone's walking me through.
Right. And that's what guided, if people are watching, like the meditations, you always want to use guided, I think,
Guided.
especially if you're just getting started, because that just means, you know, I just turn
Just
it on
following
and somebody's telling me what to do, you know.
Trust me, it's the way to start the day.
It is.
It's also, just for me, I have a real hard time with control, meaning letting it go. Even though I don't own it, I don't control it all.
Yeah.
There's nothing like I can't tell the recording, is this really what you want to say right? No, I just have to surrender myself to it.
Surrender. Oof,
And
that's a tough
yeah,
word.
So I follow that. Those could be 3 to 5 minutes, and I'll just admit right now, that is not happening every day. I
Sure.
sometimes skip that. 5 minutes? Who doesn't have 5 minutes? I just need to move to the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I won't skip very rarely will this happen, my gratitude journal. Just sitting there and physically writing something down, that I can settle my mind to do. Sometimes I have a hard time just listening to something.
Sure.
But this I could do. So again, whether it's the guided meditation for 3 to 4 minutes, 10, whatever
Yeah.
I need that day, I got plenty of options all on this app. I will always do my gratitude
Right,
journal.
right.
And then the day's gone.
You're good.
I will, from a nutritional perspective, just because that's one of the pillars that I know you harp on, I always make sure I drink water first. And I let
Hydrate.
plenty of time go by before I have coffee, because I think I want coffee to give me the mental energy and focus versus just wake me up from being asleep.
Yeah.
So I've done some research on
That's something I got to get better
You
at
gotta-
that. I just coffee as soon
It's-
as my eyes open.
I-
I'd mainline it if somebody would set up an IV, you know.
There's nothing wrong with that. It works. I watched my parents do it for years.
Yeah.
Where it was, and again, all the health benefits are
Yeah.
coming out to be
Sure.
pretty good for
Mhm.
you. I just like the way when I am naturally awake, I don't know which type of cortisol it is that drains the sleep hormone drains out of your body naturally. Then having coffee,
Sure.
whew, you don't
Yeah.
get the spike.
Yeah.
You get the high. Anyway,
Yeah.
it's just
And it's
stupid
something I've
little
done
things.
too. Also, the pillars you heard Chandler talk about when I coach and teach is, you know, my steady mind. We focus on the mental health and mental fitness pillar because that's the one most people have no idea
Right.
how to train proactively. You know, they just know treatment, and so
Mm-hmm.
mental fitness is the proactive. But there's 4 pillars of health that every human gets their health and energy from. And it's physical health. You know, so doing some kind of exercise or activity, and then nutritional health. So having, it doesn't mean you have to be a vegan or some crazy diet. It's just understanding, okay, I need to drink 100 ounces of water,
Right.
Maybe do some intermittent fasting. But so that's the second pillar. The third pillar is spiritual health, which is a huge one I know for you and for me also. We receive energy by believing in something,
Yes.
and having a way to tap in, either prayer, meditation, whatever. But that's a pillar of health. And then the fourth one's mental health.
Yeah.
And so I'll do a lot of times a little exercise with people that I coach, and I'll do this little audit. And I'll be like, okay, hey, what are you doing daily for your physical health? And they'll be, usually I'll walk, I do something, or at least they'll have an idea of something. Same thing with nutritional health. I'll ask them, they're like, well, I try to eat healthy and I do this. Cool. Spiritual health. Oh, I believe in God and I do this, right? And then I'm like, okay, so what do you do daily for your mental health? And they're like,
Yeah.
that's where they, so that's what we focus on, right? They don't know what to do proactively. So these things, these techniques like a gratitude journal is an exercise. It's not just some soft little thing for wussies, It's a tool that's helping you rewire your brain and put that gratitude on it. Because when we wake up in the morning, all human brains are wired with a negativity bias.
Sure.
Right? Nobody wakes up in the morning and just starts looking for good news. We start looking for threats, and if we don't see them or find them, we'll make them up through negative self-talk and stories. And now I'm spinning out in bed, creating a reality that doesn't exist, and I'm in sympathetic state, which I'm sure we're going to talk about, and so it's the act of, and I don't want to harp too much, but because a lot of people out there, especially a lot of men, will hear things like gratitude, and they think it's like, oh, I got to, get down and write 4 pages of how God hung the moon, and I'm so, like, it's got to be this elaborate poetic, and it's like, no, just literally lay there and be like, I'm grateful for my fan, I'm grateful for my toes, I'm grateful for that clock. It's the firing the rep that just, stops the negative, because you can't have a negative thought and a positive thought at the same time. It's impossible.
Yeah.
So I love that you mentioned gratitude. And I think it's also too, because, a lot of we work in industries like law enforcement, construction, aerospace, where it's a lot of alpha types.
Totally.
You know what I'm saying? And so when we can bring this in and say, like, look, this is what the SEALs I train do, right? Yeah. This is what the military, like, there's nothing soft about this.
Right. You've seen what they can do.
Yeah, right. I mean,
they just roll out of bed and start shooting their gun?
No, it's training. They're using breath techniques and visualization and meditation. And so anyway, you get up, you do your thing, your ECR, and it kind of gets you steady and ready for the day, right? And so
absolutely.
Went through, and again, we went through the training 3 years ago, and you're still practicing it and growing,
I am. Obviously, I still do ECR every day, meditation a couple times a week, and without even thinking about it, IERs are happening. I mean, constantly.
Yeah.
I'm BAMO breathing, I'm reframing, I'm stop signs, I'm all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
To perceive the world that's being presented to me as an opportunity, not a threat.
Amen.
And that just changes everything.
Right, because it makes you feel that. And I love what you said, that the mental fitness training, when you do it and you practice it, that's why it takes time, just like physical fitness. But you recondition your brain and your body to where you said it starts to become automatic.
Yeah.
I don't have to think about taking that deep breath when I'm pissed off. My body just does it, Yep. And I don't have to, when I get hit with a negative stimulus, a shitty email, a schedule change, my, kids crying, whatever. That's the whole thing, is my brain has the ability to kind of pause, and now I can change my perception and see that as, an opportunity, not a threat. And when you go through your day having that awareness, it helps you go about your day feeling empowered, and not vulnerable. And this is a big part of what I'm sure we'll talk about here in a little bit. If you want to mitigate incidents and accidents and keep people safe, you got to help people not live and exist out of vulnerability.
Totally.
You know what I'm saying? And that doesn't just happen. It takes training. That's it. There's no self-help book. There's no podcast. There's no shortcut. There's no motivational speaker. You have to do the techniques, and you have to give it a little time.
Absolutely. So, well, let's say, so obviously these things all sound great. Well, let's apply it to one of these crazy environments.
Yeah.
Construction.
Yeah. Hey, so let's hear real world, right?
Yeah, every day. I'd love to share a couple of stories.
Oh, I love the stories. Okay. Yeah, please.
So I'm on a job site. Actually, the day's over. It's probably 7 or 8 o'clock. We're meeting friends at Topgolf. So I think I'm in my early mid-20s or something. I'm married and my wife and I are with our friends. We're having a great time. Get a call probably 8:30 p.m. We're at least an hour away before we're leaving from my boss, and he goes, "Need you to get to the job site."
8:30 p.m.
8:30 p.m. I was like, "Okay, what's going on?" Pretty sure the basement's flooding. Okay. Well, crap. So, but nothing to do but react and go. Tell my wife, "Hey, I'm sorry, I got to go." Not funny, but what's going on at this moment is tornado warnings are happening as well. So it's a rain event.
This was in Austin?
This was in Dallas. Rain event, but also the right conditions for tornadoes. I think they did spot them, but well outside of the city, so I don't think I'm in danger, but doesn't matter. I'm going to the job site. So I'm sprinting to downtown. I'm driving in. Now, why would the basement be flooding? Well, one of the buildings that we were working on was getting a new chiller system. The chillers are in the basement. In order to install chillers into an existing structure, you cut a hole on the outside of the wall. You cut a hole to dig down to get to the outside retaining wall. Cut through the retaining wall and insert these massive boiler-sized things. Well, that hole is at the bottom of a drive, and water flows down. So all the water from this rain is going right into the basement.
Oof.
We have about 5 inches before the water touches electrical transformers, and the whole building
I'm guessing
goes
that's
out.
not good.
It's not good.
Water and electricity,
No, it's
I'm
not
no
good.
expert.
And this is a building that is occupied, so that means we are doing construction in part of the building, but there is a portion that is still being used every day. It's a daily come in and come out, so it cannot lose power. Because if it loses power, it loses air conditioning. Because if it loses air conditioning or power, it also loses elevators. So it's
Just not
basically
good.
shutting down businesses,
Yeah.
which, no, can't do that. That cannot happen. So what we're doing is basically pushing the water into the sump pump to get pumped out. We're trying to basically just keep the inches of water below 5, really 2 or below. And I think we were squeegeeing water to these drains for probably 2 or 3 hours, well into midnight or 1 or 2 in the morning.
Sure.
Remediation company comes in and does the rest of the job, but essentially we'd arrested the issue. The rain eventually left, calm, we're back to normal, and then I'm back at work the next day at 6:30, 7 o'clock. So I got like 3 or 4 hours of sleep, and then right back at it.
Right.
In that moment, of course, it's at the end of a very hard day. Going back, there would have been so much benefit to my anxiety and stress had I had this kind of tool. Had I been able to think about the mental strain I took. I think also as a younger person, you just kind of muscle through, but that only works for so long.
Right.
And there goes a fun construction story for you.
Yeah.
And that is an everyday, that's a pretty extreme example, but there's always something that happens
And
like that.
Yeah, and that's why we're saying, understanding like that's just the nature of the industry. We call
That's the way
it,
it is.
the mental fitness training is I'd almost, I mean, it needs to be, I don't mandate, but it needs to be mandatory almost for people that work in, we call it VUCA environments, right? Volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. Like, this mental fitness stuff, it's not for everybody. If you can't get off the couch, if you're not motivated, if you're not a go-getter, then do something else, right?
Yeah.
This isn't for you.
Yeah.
But the thing I love about the construction industry is it's doers, right? Or just tell me what to do. Don't sit there and talk about it, because the reality of the situation is there's always going to be these, like you said, a rain event, events.
That's how we talk about it.
You know what I mean? Yeah, where shit's going to get sideways. And like you said, if you just had it, because people are going to have to show up and do that. And if they're coming in hot and pissed and anxious and mad, it just makes that task 10 times worse. And it's increasing the probability that they miss something or they push the water over onto the electricity. And so, it's having the awareness and some tools like in that moment when you got that phone call. No, it's not good news. But how would you, if I could have just taken a couple Bamo breaths, right, and create that space, visualize the good technique, right? Okay, good. What's the opportunity here? And it just shifts me. Now, I still got to go do it. But what mindset am I showing up in? Because now I may come in and I'm pissed off, and now I blow up on that apprentice who's also here that's had to leave his baby. And so it's just it's like you can't control all the outside influences, but if we can just help people have some awareness in themselves to just take that breath, get yourself regulated, kind of change the way I'm coming into this. It doesn't mean it's fun that we're going to be squeegeeing water till 3 a.m.
No.
But if you can just change the perception of it, it's going to make that suck more bearable, and you might get it done faster without incident or accident. And, if you're seeing it as an opportunity, you might learn, oh shit, well, we forgot to do this. That's why it happened.
Yeah.
And we stop it from doing it. So it's just, I love that you share that. And looking back, like I hear it all the time when I talk to people is they're like, as soon as they start doing our training, one of the things they always say is, I wish.
Yeah.
I wish I had this 10 years ago.
Yeah.
5 years ago, and because they can see themselves in things that got sideways. Or like, and that's the thing too about mental fitness training. It's one of those things, like it's a new thing for a lot of people, and you don't know you need it until you get it. And then after you get it, you can't live without it.
How did you do it?
You're like, and so, yeah.
Well, the doers thing, I want to come to that for a second. I think when we know the task that we need to do, no problem. The task that we knew we needed to do was squeegee water. The task that we needed to do was sump pump as much out as we could with a spare pump we had. Deciding that that's what we needed to do, and maybe even amongst 5 of us, who does what, that's where the presence that you can get from the training would have helped us make rational decisions. Now, we came to all of them, but we did it under real duress.
Sure.
Probably a fear state, probably an anxiety state. And we made the right decisions. There are really only so many to make. But we may have done it in maybe a more productive way.
Right.
Again, it wasn't the doing part. Like, we knew what to do when we knew what to do. Deciding what to do beforehand.
And that's what a thing, the highest performing teams and individuals and organizations that really understand the power of mental fitness training and training their mind is what they're doing is learning how to make good decisions under stress.
Yeah.
And
you don't control the environment.
You're right. And that, again, is something that doesn't just magically happen. It takes the training, and you used a keyword, presence. Mm-hmm. You can't just say, hey, Chandler, be present, and you're going to go live the rest of your life present.
Yeah.
Presence, time, we have to rewire your brain through neuroplasticity to help you have that skill of presence. And so it's just moving all this stuff out there in the world of awareness and talking to application.
Yes.
And so I love you're saying a lot of good stuff, but it's just helping people out there that might be watching this. Again, like, what we do is not passive. You have to put in the work. But the cool thing is mental fitness is 5 minutes a day.
Yeah.
Because the key, and this is a word that I use all the time, which is a word that's not really preached or practiced much, is in just general population, right? Is intention. Being intentional.
Yes.
And physical fitness training, if I want to change my body, physical fitness requires hard work over time. Right. So it requires intensity and duration. Mental training, if I want to rewire my brain, our brain doesn't grow like a bicep because it has a skull around it.
Right.
So it can't grow through hypertrophy. It grows through new neural pathways. And mental fitness training is about intention and consistency. So why am I about to sit down and do this gratitude journal? Why am I about to take this Bamo breath? The intentionality, and then just trying to be consistent with it. And so a little bit goes a long way,
You told me something when we first talked about the science behind your techniques. And I think one of them, and I might be saying this wrong, so correct me, is it neural pruning?
Mm-hmm. That's breaking the bad pathways.
So a workout, analogy is obviously you're kind of micro tearing your muscles to rebuild them.
100%.
Of course, that takes weeks and weeks and weeks. What you told me is, hey, neural pruning, you can turn around changes in days.
Yeah.
And that just blew my mind because I know how long I've always been some kind of exercise regimen person.
Sure.
I know how long it takes to see results from any kind of training, working out. But you could tell me in days I could change my mental state, my behavior. That I think really shifted me from this, I can read about meditation, but whatever, to, oh, this is legit. This is real. Right. And then obviously I took the training and saw it. Yeah. I am literally seeing the world differently because of this.
Yeah. And that's what's fascinating. We show you, again, we're moving, My Steady Mind, it's science-based, science-backed. We're teaching you how your brain works. There's nothing woo-woo and that's for people that understand training, like they need to, show me, and we show you a neural pathway forming. You get to see it, and that's where a lot of people can't wrap their mind, pun intended, around mental training because I can't see my brain. I can see my body and be like, holy shit, you need to get to the gym, right? Or, yes, I'm looking good, right? Good point. I understand, I can see that. And so that's why people are skeptical of mental training is because they're like, I can't see my brain, right? No, yeah. Well, we can now with fMRIs, and now we can show you that, to your point, that's all, everything is just, the reason we do stupid shit and feel bad and have all these challenges, we just got shitty wiring. Yeah. Neural pathways that have formed over 20, 30, 40, 50 years, we've all got it, myself included, that has just, these neural pathways have formed that create the self-sabotage, the negative stuff, the why do I do that thing, why can't I quit doing this, why do I always fuck that up, whatever. Mm-hmm. And that's why I said earlier, self-help books and listening to podcasts and stuff like that is good for awareness, but it doesn't generate enough specific energy to those pathways to break it. Neural pruning, break those pathways, and form a new one. Just like my bicep, if my body's out of shape and I want to get in shape, I can read every fitness magazine, I can watch every fitness workout, I can listen to every fitness podcast. That doesn't change my body. The only thing that changes my body is I have to go to the gym and do the exercise, and it sucks because I have to break down those deconditioned muscle fibers. And guess what? I go home, I'm still out of shape, and now I'm sore, and I got to come back the next day, and now it sucks. So it's, progressive acquisition. It takes time, but the physical fitness thing, I got to go maybe an hour a day, 5 days a week for 2 months before I really start to notice change.
Mm-hmm.
But because it's hypertrophy, your brain, again, it has a skull. It can't grow like that.
No.
So it grows. So you get results a lot faster, but repetition to recondition. So, just throwing that out there, because a lot of people, that's what we say, like, there is no other way to if you want to build back up your attention span, your cognitive endurance, the cognitive capacity, all the stuff we want, it takes training.
Yeah,
There's nothing else out there. And if anybody tells you, they're full of shit. So, back to kind of, you've been implementing it, practicing it, and you've seen your team doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Just want to talk briefly a little bit about you personally. Kind of want to hear. We talked a little bit about like this DECA challenge. I know you recently had a birthday, and so you're making a commitment to some fitness stuff, and just talking about how, because we can practice this all the time, and like I said, and still fall flat on our face.
Totally.
Myself included. It doesn't make it perfect. We still have challenges. I still fall down. I still get into funks. But because of the mental fitness training, I say this all the time, like, when I fall into a shitty season, or I have something funky going on, or something I can't out meditate or out breath work, like, my lows are not as deep and not as long, right?
Yeah.
So I hit them, but I'm not down for 6 months.
Sure.
I'm down for 6 days.
Yeah.
And I've learned to give myself some grace and space, and just be in it for a little bit too, and then put in the work to get back up. But talk to me a little bit about just kind of continued growth and development. How, I know you said, like, you're integrating it, and how you forget sometimes, and you're not, and what happens, and then we'll kind of start to talk about this LinkedIn article that we'll really dive into. But
so I recently turned 40. Most people at a milestone birthday like that, want to do something fun, or I think the trend now is more like, let me challenge myself, and I was kind of in that camp. Also, almost 2 years ago now, gave up drinking of any kind. So
that's big.
I going out, doing something big.
You mean
party.
you didn't want to go get hammered on your 40th birthday?
No, and
that's
by the
for
way,
rookies. That's for rookies.
Anyone going through a journey of quitting or not wanting to drink or whatever, it is a very long process. It's not like one day I said I don't want to drink, and it's not like I felt like I had a problem, but I had to make a conscious choice many times for years.
You're in a room full of non-drinkers, so that's awesome.
Love it. So what do I do that's kind of the opposite of that? Challenge myself. I mentioned earlier, surrendering to anything is really not first move for me. So surrendering to a workout regime that wasn't just me going to the gym, making it my workout, which is what I was used to. I go at my own pace, I do my own thing, and I get out. I have a really hard time working out with anyone, especially when my wife wants to work out with me. I don't consider others, and I've gotten better at that. What I decided to do was a DECA strong competition. I don't really like long distance running. I'm gonna run a marathon. That wasn't me, but functional fitness under time. That sounded intriguing.
Yeah,
to me.
Explain DECA a little.
I will.
More, like
DECA stands for 10, and strong is the non-running version of 10 zones that you follow, and they are under the Spartan race umbrella of races. So I'm sure people have heard of Tough Mudders and stuff like that. This is a almost entirely inside gym situation. So one of them's you got a weighted ram on your shoulders doing reverse lunges. Then you roll right into 500-meter row. Then you roll right into box jumps. Then you roll right into
my knees are hurting just listening to you talk about that.
That is a thing that comes up. Then you do ski erg. Then you do exo bike or air bike. Then you do farmer's carry. Then you do sled push. Then you go to
and it's just as fast as you can do each station.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And it's all for time. And then your last one is by far the worst. It's the ram burpee. So you have a 44-pound weight that you do a burpee on and throw it over your head and do that, like, I don't think it was 20 times, but ending with that, just absolute brutal. So I'm training.
Sounds like a great birthday.
Yeah, there you go. So that's a challenge. Yeah. I've never trained for something like that. And I found a local person, Andy Dutra, who does training for high rocks. I'd heard high rocks before, and I was like, I don't think I'm ready for something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He fed me workouts every single week for 8 weeks. I got an 8-week training out of it. I get to the day of. I'm physically where I'm supposed to be. I've done
Best
a couple
shape of your life.
I'm as good as I think I need to be for this. I've simulated a couple of races a few Saturdays prior. I felt like
What's
I knew
the
how
kind
to
of
go.
into like expected time frame? Is
That's
that
a
'cause
great question.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure you had.
You want to go to the leaderboard on their website?
Yeah.
You're looking at under 12 minutes.
Ooh,
You want to go
to get
for,
through all 10 stations.
Yeah, imagine that. I just don't even know how that's done. It's insane. What I was looking to hit was, if I hit sub 20, that was really good. Sub 20 minutes. So that was kind of my mindset. And I'd done a few sims where I did one half for time, took a break, one half for time. Added those two up, it was well under 20 minutes. So I was like, okay, given the fact that I can't stop halfway through, maybe I can hit 20. So that's where my head it was going into this race. I'm there early. That's just me. I'm watching other people do the race, except everybody's doing it the pairs. So they're not going single by themselves through all stations. They're doing a station, the next person does a station, the next person does a station. So you get that break. So I'm not watching anyone do it how I'm going to do it. Woman comes up to me. She goes, "Your heat's next." I'm like, "Who's going to be in my heat?" I'm looking around. Okay, I got to pair myself with that guy. You're going to be by yourself in your heat. Okay. All right. I guess I work out by myself. Should go fine. There's 20 people, 30 people watching. I'm in this very clear, open gym space by myself. I've got a really solid Garmin watch telling me where my heart rate is, and it is not where it needs to be. I'm up in the 90s. I should be down in the 60s, especially before a race, but I've done nothing that
Yeah, I
morning.
haven't even started something. Yeah.
Haven't even started. And the way to win this race is breath work and heart rate control. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Except that it's also up here.
Well, what
So-
controls your breath and your heart?
Yeah.
The mind.
Yep. So I'm definitely feeling the adrenaline from starting a race. Everything you would think before a race. So I'm elevated unnaturally from a normal workout day, and then I start, and so I think I'm up at 160,
Heart rate.
170 right away, and I know immediately this is going to be a knockdown drag out. This
Yeah.
is going to suck.
Yeah.
Never occurred to me to quit though. Never in my mind going through what was starting from just absolutely the worst position you could to the end did I think about quitting. But I did think about regulating. I did think about getting my mind right. I think I was on zone 7 before I finally got my heart rate back in check. Where you want it to be, or where I wanted it to be, was around the high 150s, low 160s.
Mm-hmm.
I can maintain through that without being in you're gulping for breath at 180. And honestly, it's dangerous after
Sure,
that.
yeah, for sure. You're not supposed to be in that.
I finish. I'm sweating. I am just not only did I finish, but I wasn't excited about finishing. What did I hit? I hit 23 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that was terrible. That was terrible. And I'm walking through what happened, and I'm thinking about it, and I talked with my coach afterwards, and he goes, and through text, and we came to the same conclusion. Like, you were physically ready. You had trained. You knew exactly what to do. Your technique was on. Your engine was good. It was a mental game for you.
Mm-hmm.
You failed at the mental game.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that was it. And it all came flooding back. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did it all right except that.
Yeah.
So I'm probably going to do another deca, but I'm absolutely going to focus on
Right. And
how do I get my mind right before I go into one of the highest stress moments that I personally put myself
Mm-hmm.
through. I have high anxiety for racing. I always did.
Right.
So that's something
so what happened
I
there, and
forgot.
we talk about it, and I work with a lot of athletes because this thing happens, right? You an athlete, I mean, like, you do the mental fitness, like you have that experience, you're doing it and like applying it to my life, and things are good
Mhm.
from a safety, and then it's, you have this event that you're training for, right?
Mhm.
And what happens, we talk about in the presence module, time traveling.
Yeah.
And so what happened, I would imagine, right, was you scheduled the event, you're excited for it, now it's on the calendar, and you're starting to get closer to, and you're training physically, you're doing
Sure,
the stuff,
yeah.
right? You're getting yourself physically prepared for sure.
Mhm.
But what can happen a lot of times for people that do something like that, some new challenge or event, is they start, as they get closer to the date, there starts to be this underlying fear, right? And you're perceiving that, what happens if I don't hit my time? What happens if I don't XYZ? And that's what starts creating that state anxiety.
Yes.
And so the closer you get, if you didn't get that, if you didn't get that checked, which apparently you didn't, right?
I didn't. No.
You didn't have awareness for
Just
whatever
ran
reason
right
because you were
past that.
focusing a lot on the physical piece. And then what happened was, you had created such anxiety around that event, that you were in a very anxious state before you even started it.
Totally. Yeah.
And so now it's like, okay, I'm going to do another one, and I'm going to have awareness that I might start time traveling, perceiving that as a threat, and now start to say, okay, good, I can't wait. I'm going to crush this thing. And because that's why, especially for any athletes and stuff out there, why the mental fitness is so important is, 1,000 push-ups doesn't protect a fragile mind.
No.
And you can be as in shape and as fit and as strong as you want, but if mentally there's this fear, negative self-talk that's underlying because you're scared of the event,
right,
you're going to come into that event not in optimum state, And so it was one thing, and I know we talked about it before we started, that, and I love that you did it, was no, it wasn't your best performance. No, it wasn't, the goal, but you didn't quit. And the mental training that you've been doing is what you embraced the suck.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right.
You didn't quit. You finished it.
I would have quit in the past. I've seen myself in situations that looked hopeless like that. There was no chance I was going to hit my goal number of 20 or even under. But it just never came across my mind to quit. And I once I got past the feeling of defeat, I look back and I relish that, hey man, I did not quit. Mm-hmm. I set the bar super high for myself, and I probably got cocky. Mm-hmm. But I at least can walk away with that, and I can build on that. Mm-hmm. And even if I did, drop the ball a couple of times, so to speak, that's part of me learning and failing and learning from that failure. So
right.
That's still a good thing at the end of the day.
Yeah, 100%, And so I think what we'll do is I'll wrap up. I think we can do a separate kind of episode, for the next piece because I don't really dive into that. But, this has been awesome talking to you about just your journey and what you've done throughout your career and integrating mental fitness into your personal life and professional life and the importance of it, as a leader to bring to your teams. Mm-hmm. And it's just been awesome to get to watch you do it, and I love to hear these stories of, the success and the failures and and it's been great to just get to work with you and Jackie, and I know she's practicing this stuff too, right?
I did not say this, but when our team went through it, she has her own business and she certainly was like, I can gain from this. So she was right there with us in the training. Yeah.
And so she, love hearing from her. She keeps me posted and talks about BAMO and things that she's doing. And so just, I'm grateful for you. And like I said, what we're going to do, we'll wrap this one up, and I want to kind of do another one that we can talk about this article.
Absolutely.
Because I think there's going to be a lot that we're going to have a part 2 coming up with Chandler, where we're going to dive into an article that talks about AI and what he's seeing as a leader in the tech space and the dark side, the good side. And so I just think that needs to be a separate thing. And so we'll kind of wrap this one up, but we'll have part 2 with Chandler. So you'll be able to check that out. So stay tuned.